Can me say, boop you walk on, boop you talk on, boop you say that you love Kojak, and there's a hole in the bucket. Say, dear Liza, and me say, Green Bay killing a murder, blow. Oh Lord, when I say Big Stone TV for the world, I'm a Popo.
A very pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Big Stone Television. Today, as you know, the series continues. We're talking about those great record producers, singers, and players of instruments who have gone too soon or those who are still here with us. Today, we're still happy to have in our midst the legendary, the iconic King Jammy, the most important producer in the development of computer-driven record music. During the second half of the 80s, Lloyd James was at the epicenter of all that was happening musically in Jamaica, and his reputation rests not only on his prodigious recorded output, but also on the many nights that his sound system played out in hotly contested sound clashes. In the early part of the decade, Jammy had produced top-quality roots records, but it was his work with a young Waterhouse artist known as Half Pint that showed the way forward for the music. Jammy's brand new sound stayed true to the spirit of reggae, but embraced digital technology to form a bridge between the sound of the 70s and the raga attack of the 90s. Half Pint had been singing on Kingston Black Scorpio sound and had the ability to transfer the raw excitement generated in the dance hall onto vinyl. Earl Chinna Smith Band, known as the High Times Band, after Chinna's High Times label, provided the backing and the backbone for the Money Man Skank album. This release was a key record in the transition from dancehall to digital. The Roots Radic had also been working on this new approach since the turn of the decade, and their stripped-to-the-bone prototype sound came to a logical conclusion with the introduction of computer technology. The Radics had shown how well the back-to-basic approach could work, but computer-built rhythms now change the pattern, and it worked even better. The real breakthrough came at the end of 1985 with the release of Wayne Smith's anonymous Sleng Teng. This revolutionary record used a slowed-down preset rock and roll rhythm from a Casio music box and was recorded in Jammy's tiny back bedroom studio at Harris House on St. Lucia Road. Jammy went from prince to a king and ruled the Jamaican music scene for the rest of the decade. Wayne Smith had already recorded the Youthman Skanking album for Jammy in the early 80s, and he started working with him again in 1984. While practicing with Noel Daly and his Casio music box, they slowed down a rock rhythm, but then lost it. Noel spent days looking for the rhythm, and when he finally found it again, the pair went straight to Jammy. The words of Sleng Teng just leaped into my mind, and the song was done, said Wayne Smith. Tony Asher, one of the few musicians at the time who owned an electronic keyboard and was comfortable about using it, built the final rhythm track. Its impact was immediate. The fashion for updated classic 60s rhythm was immediately forgotten as everyone queued up to ride Sleng Teng. This modified Eddie Karan riff became the most version reggae rhythm ever, with over 200 different cuts released in a matter of months. Digital reggae had arrived, and the way that the music was made now changed irrevocably. Sleng Teng had opened the door, but it was another Jammys rhythm that went on to create the sound of modern dancehall music. One Sunday afternoon, Jammy, Steely and Clevie and Bobby Digital were working together in the studio on a track that the DJ Admiral Bailey voiced as Punani. This risque Jamaican slang term for the female podenda, who became the rhythm template for every one of the ragga, juggling and dancehall beats of the next decade. Expensive studio time and costly real musicians were no longer a prerequisite for making a record, and this encouraged a whole new wave of independent producers and artists to step forward. Prince Jammy was promoted to King Jammy, and his ubiquitous blue and white label on the King Jammy's superpower sound system had rebuilt and expanded the sound and changed its name from Jammy's Hi-Fi to Jammy's Superpower. Stayed at the forefront of all that was happening for the remainder of the decade. In 1987, he won the coveted Rockers Award for Best Producer. Jammy's willingness to nurture new talent meant that he was always surrounded by top-class engineers and musicians. Many of the people involved in the initial thrust of Jammy's The Digital Revolution subsequently went on to forge their own highly successful career. Bobby Dixon, one of the quickest learning guys I've ever met, acquired the nickname of Bobby Digital due to his technical prowess. Two other important members of the crew were Wycliffe Steely Johnson and Cleveland Clevie Brown, known as Steely and Clevie. Credit must go to Jammys himself for being willing to try something new, but Jammys kept himself surrounded with the youth vibes and knew what people wanted. Mikey Bennett also worked extensively with Jammys, at his work at St. Lucia Road coincided with Jammys upgrading his 8-track tape recorder to a 16-track machine. Brian Thompson and Winston Islap, better known as Brian and Tony Gold, sang the backing vocals to many of Jammy's productions. Jammy continued to demonstrate an inherent ability to put the right people together in the right place at the right time, aided throughout by his brother, Trevor Uncle T. James, who has always been Jammy's right-hand man. Jammy's music was massively popular, and the amount of records and all formats, 7-inch, 12-inch, and LP, that he produced during his time at the top was staggering. Through his understanding of the business and his extended web of contacts, the records were always available in Kingston, London, and New York. King Jammy's Superpower was the #1 song with the best DJs and dub plates. Shabba Ranks, the most successful DJ of the ragga era, made his name live and direct on King Jammy's Superpower, and many of his breakthrough hit records were produced by King Jammy. Jammy's recording studio was a hotbed for musical activity, as numerous stars and many more would-be stars waited for the opportunity to voice special for the sound system operators who had come to St. Lucia Avenue to cut dubs at one of the 3 dub cutting studios. Countless artists made their debut on Jammy's label, and countless established stars of the music also recorded at his Waterhouse studio. New and veteran artists singers, DJs, and musicians can all claim their very own part of the exclusive but all-inclusive King Jammys sound. From humble beginnings, Jammy's music factory progressed to 2 recording studios and its own pressing plant, and with his 4 sons, John, Christopher CJ, Trevor Baby G, and Jam 2, all producing music from the family's St. Lucia Avenue base, the future is assured for his musical dynasty. Prince Jammy to King Jammys, a powerful record producer who actually believed in the young upcoming artists that would sometime come to his studio every single day. The likes of anybody who was anybody, from Wayne Sleng Smith to Shabba Ranks, everybody came to see the king. Admiral Bailey was one of those artists that shined brightly under the tutelage of King Jammys. A lot more came, a lot more went, and most of them became superstar. King Jammy, I just want to say thank you so much, sir, for a job well done. Thank you so much for believing in your community. You could have easily moved out of the Waterhouse, crime-infested community, but you always wanted to stay and build your community and be a shining example for others to follow. King Jammys, you came, you saw, and you definitely conquer. We want to thank you again and again. The world is extremely grateful. Jamaica is extremely grateful. I am extremely grateful. The artists that became superstars around you are extremely grateful. Thank you again. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Please like and share this video. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, now is the most perfect time to do so. Thank you so much.